Peace and blessings. The Reverend Dr. Kimmenez, the senior pastor of the Recovery Christian Center, a new church plant that's been in existence about 8 months now in West Philadelphia. We just wanted to share this video with you as just an opportunity to introduce Recovery Christian Center to you and give you a little bit about how we're impacting and changing lives in this community. Let's start with who we are. And I think it would probably be a little more productive to describe who we're not than who we are. We're definitely not church as usual. We're not traditional. We're not buttoned down. We're not expecting you to show up in a three-piece suit and and a long dress. In fact, a lot of weeks I preach just like this, t-shirt, jeans, and shoes. So we're definitely not your typical church. We have a saying that's kind of popular among those with RCC. We basically say if you don't feel like you fit in traditional church, Recovery Christian Center is the place where misfits fit. We find ourselves more about making a difference in our community than about how we look. Why God created RCC. We believe God gave us this vision simply because, looking at our personal experience, me personally, 17 years, about 15 years in ministry, 17 years in recovery, 18 years, of walking with Christ. I started to see that people in recovery who wanted to come to church would find themselves, where they would say to me, "Pastor, I want to come, I want to be a part of," but every time that I talk to the pastor or talk to folks in church, I'm made to feel either because I'm not welcome, or even if I've got 10, 15 years in recovery, they're looking at me like I just got clean last week, or I hear stuff like, "Oh, well, you're delivered now, you don't need to make those meetings." Well, you're not going to hear that from us because pastor make meetings. The second side was that we had folk in church who were struggling in addiction, but didn't necessarily feel comfortable in 12-step fellowship, in a secular 12-step fellowship based on either the topic or the content or the language, whatever it might be, but they were still struggling and they weren't finding what they needed in church because churches really aren't set up to deal with folk in recovery. So we wanted to bring kind of all those people together, including and anybody else that had been beat up by life, and use this place of worship to take them to the next level. Our vision is pretty simple. We have a 4-part vision that really is about taking folk from all over to the next level. And the first thing is immense love. And what we mean by immense love is that kind of love and acceptance that most churches are supposed to have, but a lot of them don't. It's not about what we say, it's about what we do. When you come into Recovery Christian Center, you're not just going to you're not just going to hear that you're welcome. You're going to know, you're going to feel that you're welcome. You're going to, we want folk to experience the love of Christ through how we love Him. And understanding that is the cornerstone of a relationship with Christ, that God is love. So we want folk to know that regardless of their situation, regardless of their background, that they're welcome, that they're accepted, and they're loved at Recovery Christian Center. It's hard for a church to call itself a spiritual hospital, and then folks who are sending folks who are bleeding from it, tell you come back when you get better. We tend to get an attitude of sending folks out the door with a spiritual gunshot wound. Because we're afraid of them bleeding over the carpet. Well, I tell my folk all the time, if the carpet's already soaked in the blood of Christ, ain't nobody spiritually bleeding can be hurt by it. So we want folk to experience love. The second thing is intense worship. Worship at RCC is less about just coming together and having fun, and more about trying to get into the presence of God. Because we firmly believe that once you're in His presence, everything that you've been struggling with, everything that you've been experiencing, everything you've been praying about, the answer is in His presence. So the worship at RCC is about getting into His presence. For a worship style, you'd probably see that we're again not traditional. We encompass gospel R&B, gospel hip hop, dance ministry into our worship life. So when you come here, you're not going to get the typical church experience. The third part is relevant word. We here at RCC, we're preaching a word that's going to impact and change your life. But in order for it to impact and change your life, it's first got to make sense. It's got to be relevant to you and what your experiences are. So, that's why we use the Life Recovery Bible, because it is a chance for to take the Word of God in a simpler term without all the these and thous. It's the same thing that's in the King James, but it doesn't necessarily have to be written in a complicated language. And taking that translation encompassed with the 12 steps as a path to a better relationship with Christ. So we take those things and apply them to your life. And if you do that, the word will be relevant to you. Now, the last thing is our community and kingdom partnerships. I don't believe that one church can do it all. So if one, there's too much suffering and too much going on in our communities for us not to be a part of. And for us as churches not to work together. I think it's insane that you have four churches on the same corner and pastors don't even know each other. So we reach out to the other churches in our community and who are like-minded about ministry as we are, and who are about changing lives, and we attempt to work together. It doesn't matter about denomination or fellowship background or any of that. We work together. We're also a part of the Full Gospel Baptist Church Fellowship, and we work with those other churches in the fellowship to build this kingdom together and to affect change in people's lives together. Also, we're community partnerships are a big part of it. I think it would be insane, for instance, to do HIV ministry and not involve an HIV service organization, whose expertise in that field. It would be insane to talk about providing opportunities for the homeless, and you don't bring in people who do, who work with the homeless. We're about kind of coming together as a community with, of course, the Christian focus, and impacting and changing lives. Our mission is real simple. Our mission, is simply to, implement the vision. We're not a church that really cares about the four walls. We're about making an impact in our community. We're about creating, a community of believers that are having their own lives change, and because they're having their own lives change, they're attempting to impact and change the lives of others. And if we can do that, if we can come first and have our lives change, allow God to change us, and then turn around and use that opportunity to then affect change in other people's lives, then we'll not only change our church, but we'll change the community. We'll change because it tends to grow. So we'll change the community. We'll change the neighborhood, the city, and eventually our country, and eventually the world, just by being able to affect change in our own lives and the lives of others. So what is life recovery? Life recovery, real simply, isn't just about addiction recovery. It isn't just about substance abuse. It's not even just about the other manifestations of addiction. Any addict is welcome here. And we use the 12 steps and the Word of God as a path to recovery and a path to to a relationship with God, regardless of what your manifestation is. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol, it could be sex, it could be food, eating disorders, it could be gambling, it could be a number of different things. You got folks that shop to the point that they spend their rent money. So any manifestation of addiction, but also necessarily things that have nothing to do with addiction themselves, such as grief, such as sexual abuse or domestic violence or physical abuse. All of those things we try to affect change of at RCC. And all are welcome. We're not just specifically for folks in recovery. We're for anybody. I basically say the folks that are welcome here are sometimes the folks that no other churches want. We want the addicts, the alcoholics, the sex workers, the corner boys, the people that are necessarily have been beat up by life. Folks that are struggling with homelessness or joblessness or pennilessness. Those are welcome here. And we also welcome folk that want to help those people get better. And generally, if you've been beat up by life, then you're welcome at the Recovery Christian Center. So we invite you to join us. We meet regularly in West Philadelphia. We're located at 4110 Haverford Avenue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19104. Our services are Saturday at 5 p.m. and our Bible study is Tuesday at 7 p.m. So if you're looking for, maybe you work on Sunday mornings and you're looking for a place to worship that necessarily isn't on Sunday. We worship on Saturdays. We rent space from another church currently and are in partnership with them. So as a result of what they do on Sunday, our services are on Saturdays. So we invite you to come, to come and be a part of. We're looking forward to seeing you. You can also contact us. There's several different ways to be in contact with Recovery Christian Center. Our phone number is 267-582-5013. And we're also, you can email us at recoverychristiancenter@yahoo.com and find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Recovery Christian Center. You can also follow me, the pastor, on Twitter at REVDRCMKIMMENEZ. Which is short for Reverend Dr. C.M. Kimmenez. So you can follow me on, get in contact with us, let us know how you're doing and how we can help you. So having said all that, God bless you, and we hope to see you at the Recovery Christian Center.